Hello and welcome, everybody. Week 4 is in the books. The Ballers are back in the house. We are the three of us. Will, Peter, how was your time in the sun, Will? Because yeah, it seems like you decided to go and get roasted somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was really good. Very hot as well. I think we managed to crack into the mid 40s, so it's more like the wrong side of hot. But outside of that, yeah, no, it was really good to see. It's my second time in Egypt. Still haven't seen everything, but I'm sure I'll cap that off at some point in my lifetime. But yeah, yeah, no, I was able to catch a few games. We didn't have Wi-Fi in the hotel rooms, which was a bit of a bummer. So I was basically that guy that was stuck in the lobby for 6 hours straight, trying to catch what I can. But yeah, no, I think there's definitely been like some marquee games, and it'll be really good to kind of chat with you guys, and sort of break them down. But yeah, how about you, Pete, man? How have you been?
I've been all right. Week four, in the books. I watched some of the games, uh, but I wasn't like consistently in week four. But I followed up with much of the highlights and stuff, and what's happening around the league. I think we are starting to see the separation now. So
Yep.
I
we'll
think that's
see
uh,
as we get to
uh, I
week
think
eight.
that's I think that's certainly the case. We're starting to see the separation of the good getting filtered from the bad. But before we get on to that, the news within the league. So players are coming off the PUP and IR. So Cooper Cup is back for the Rams. Jonathan Taylor back for my Indianapolis Colts and full practice for that. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But trade news: JC Jackson traded from the Chargers back to the New England Patriots. Peter, what are your thoughts on this one? Because this is we didn't expect this, did we?
No, it was totally unexpected. When Ian Rappaport dropped the news, I think a little earlier today. It must have been even yesterday. But it's this just a typical case of Bill Belichick at play here a little bit because in a way it's almost like he released him to go get paid by another team, and then he gets something back for peanuts. And I have a feeling he's gonna actually perform very well with the Patriots within their system
Well,
because the system that brought him to prominence
they need
after
him.
after after Christian Gonzalez being lost this season, which is a huge shame because I think he was
Mm-hmm.
definitely one of the top three front runners for defensive rookie of the year. So it's unfortunate that his season has been cut short. Wish him speedy recovery that he can come back stronger next year. But JC Jackson fits the Patriots system like a glove. And to me, it feels like a free agency lost by the Chargers because when they signed him, they paid him a huge money up front and a lot of kind of stuff. So almost like he went to the Chargers to get paid. All his go back to the Patriots. But I also have a funny feeling like even if Christian Gonzalez did not get injured, they probably still would have traded for him because it didn't cost a
Mm-hmm.
lot to get him back.
Now, what I would say on that is Patriots aren't making the playoffs.
I mean, what's their record
Uh,
now? 1-3.
They're
yeah, it's
currently
not
sitting at
exactly that good. Yeah.
1-3. Like I said, it's setting the tone for like the rest of the season. Once you get to that first bye, you kind of know where you stand. And right now, they're not a good football team, but they can eke a few wins here and there. But it's going to be like a situational matchup where things go their way and they have all the right play calls, all the preparations done right. But it's not looking too good for them.
I mean, I think I'll agree with what you said, Dil, that they're not making the playoffs. If had they been able to beat the Cowboys, not lose by blowout faction like not lose out in the blowout last week, I think at 2-2 you consider them as an outside shot or with a chance of making the playoffs. But at 1-3,
It's
I
very
think it's unlikely.
Also, it's very difficult with the other two, particularly with those other two teams in that division, with the games against the Jets not exactly being easy because we'll talk about them a little bit in a little bit. But before that, and other news, Randy Gregory was released by the Broncos, and it was along the lines of them wanting to focus on the younger players. Now, Randy Gregory signed for a fair amount of money last year, so
that's okay.
But the Broncos are absolutely woeful, but they didn't manage to win. But that's because the Bears are the Bears.
The Bears, yeah. Yeah, no, Randy Gregory is kind of underperformed his whole career. I think he was a fairly high draft pick by the Cowboys in all those yesteryears, but he's just never sort of lived up to the expectations. They did move him there, but Denver, just like Pete said, they are sort of heading into like a heavy rebuild. Because
they are not solo,
Russell
they're
Wilson,
tanking.
Russell
not solo.
Wilson has played admirably these last few games, and they've seen other holes on that team.
The hole is the defense.
The hole's the defense, yeah. Mr. Vance Joseph himself. So this is like a rebuild move. So they're just getting rid of the fat, getting rid of all the excess. No need to pay for someone that's not producing. So it's Sean Payton's gonna do a completely new refit next year.
I think what gives the vibes that they're tanking hard is the fact that they were trying to lose to the Bears, but the Bears are just worse than them basically, because the Bears should have never lost that game, because the Broncos were kind of like actively trying to lose that game, and for you to do an even worse defensive performance, it's almost like those two teams decided, okay,
that was a true toilet bowl, right? That was a true toilet bowl of a game.
Let's lose this game. Let's go for it on fourth.
All
right. There we have that. Now let's talk about.
Last thing. Okay. No, last thing. You can't blame Justin Fields anymore. He did all he could to try and win that game.
It was never Fields.
That is certainly the case. All right. Game of the week. Everyone saw the Bills versus the Dolphins as the game of the week. We previewed it was expected to be the game of the week, and it started off like it was going to be a complete and utter shootout, but that Bills defense clamped down and they stopped it from being a complete shootout.
I was telling people that once I think this was one of the first litmus tests I had for Tua, which is could you go into Buffalo and beat the Bills in their backyard, have a really commanding performance. And I think this was one of the few games that didn't have a commanding performance. And I think the Dolphins needs to get out of it very quickly, because before they play the Bills, I read a stat that the last NFL team to score 60 plus points went 1-6 in their next 7 games.
I think this was so what we have seen from Tua so far this season is he doesn't get sacked, right? Because they get the ball out of his hands so quick, especially with his quick twitch motion. He got sacked 4 times in this game. That's not going to help. I think what it was is because they managed to keep a lid on Tyreek, 1 reception. He had 3 receptions and he had 1 rushing carry. Jalen Waddle wasn't. Yeah, Jalen Waddle wasn't. It didn't seem like he was fully with it in that sense. But you look at how they spread the ball around; it was all completely spread. They weren't able to get one guy dominant. Whereas you look at the other side of the ball, Josh Allen's performance: 21 for 25, 320 yards, 4 touchdowns, passing,
Huge.
1 touchdown on the ground. James Cook had a touchdown on the ground too. Stephon Diggs took over this game, 120 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Massive. Absolutely huge. This is what this was such a marquee win for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So much so that it kind of rocketed Josh Allen back into the MVP race, with this performance. And I think a lot of people were sort of waiting to see, could the Bills cope with the high octane offense of the Dolphins? And now that the tape is out there, it's going to be a lot harder for Miami now, because every other team they play defensively is going to try and replicate what the Bills are able to do in this game. And they might have unique personnel that can carry out different facets of that defense. So it's gonna be harder going forward, because it's a copycat league. If I see how to stop you, I'm gonna try and replicate it.
But then
so
not a lot of teams have the tools to be able to do that.
Yeah, I was just about to say that what Dylan said is that it's all well and good copying the defensive schemes that the Bills use, but you have the players to execute it, and that's going to be a big point for all these NFL teams. I think the Dolphins will make the playoffs eventually, but I think Buffalo kind of reminded them that they are still the kings of that division
at the moment. Let's see, because they're still going to
3-1.
play. There's that game was in Buffalo from my memory,
Yeah.
so they're still going to have the reverse fixture, especially with that Miami Heat.
I get that, but I think
no
my point is
there. There's no pun. There's actually no pun intended. That's a different team, but
I mean, I think my point is this. I think the Bills have won the division title the last 4 or 5 years, and they've been sort of like the kings. And the thing is, I go by the mantra of they're the kings of the division until you beat them. So basically, that's it.
but
Until Miami topples them.
you can win the division without having to beat them though as well.
Well, yeah, by beating all the other teams, but
Yeah,
I think the Bills have a good record against Miami. They have beaten Miami in the past before, and they did it last Sunday. So I think they're showing that they're still the top notch of that division.
so Miami have a bounce back game against the New York Giants at home. So
That's the win.
that seems like the perfect little tune up, right?
Yep.
For them to get back onto it.
It should be, right?
Right, it should be the perfect tune up for them.
Miami can't lose to the Giants now.
Well, particularly, I'm going to touch on it. So, if you look towards that game, I don't think the problems for Daniel Jones are Daniel Jones. Micah, I'm going to mention Michael Parsons quite a few times today, and Micah said in that in his pod or whatever he does for Bleacher Report, if you look at, there was a rep where all 5 guys on the offensive line lost the rep.
They got whooped up front.
If all 5 guys are losing their rep, he's got no chance. And then the Micah's response was, so this is about Daniel Jones? No, it's not.
Yeah, to be honest, I've seen it go both ways. Dan Orlovsky from, I believe, NFL Network did like a really good breakdown, and he's shown that some of Daniel Jones's decision making is questionable. So sometimes he'll bootleg away from protection, or he'll miss obvious reads, and that's leading to the sack. They have one guy that's accountable, or they've left one defender for him to read, and then he's not making that read, and he's not throwing into the bubble of the offense. So it's kind of both sides. Don't get me wrong, the offensive line did not play well, but then also Daniel Jones is not making the reads. I heard like a really good saying in that a good quarterback will sort of cover up bad offensive line play. Historically, the Giants' offensive line has never really been that good. We're talking decade-wise, and now we're realizing Eli did a really good job sort of working around those deficiencies, and it's something Daniel Jones can't quite do yet.
Also, not having Saquon doesn't help.
not having Saquon. I don't think Saquon's in a rush to come back either. I think he's just gonna make sure he's 100% healthy before he even sets foot on that field. He might take the majority of the season. He'll probably play. I'd probably say during the twilight
Well,
of the
considering
season.
he's got a
He's
strain,
not in a rush.
we've got no
Yeah,
chance of making the playoffs.
yeah. He's literally just gonna be like, look, I'll come and play towards the end, maybe the last handful of games, just so I don't waste a whole season with no stats. So it's just one of those things.
All right, let's move on to the New York Jets. So move across from the Giants side to the Jets side. Aaron Rodgers is aiming for a return this season after his blown out Achilles. He is on crutches quicker than people are expecting. He seems to like this this Achilles bridge, effectively, this innovative surgery that he's had, and with the more progressive physio plan for him, it seems like he is aiming to be back for this season. And I think that's going to have an impact on the defensive side play. And the reason is that normally when your QB goes down for the season, your defense will suffer because they think, the offense is not going to be able to do anything, right?
Yep.
But these guys are on it. They made Mahomes in this game look ordinary at times.
The Jets do have like a really good defense. And I think, it is wishful thinking. I know he wants to come back and he probably can play. But it just depends on how their season's going. Like if if they're out, then there's no real need for him.
Correct.
I'd rather he heals up, gets 100%, 200%, and then next year, you can go at it again. Like he's there next year. I think it's everything that's sort of compounding on the Jets right now. Like you've got all the negative press, and he feels as though he's responsible for that as well. So I think he's kind of trying to protect the team, and it's really good to see this side of Aaron, because if this was Green Bay, I don't think he'd be showing this kind of.
I think it's the love that the city has shown him.
Yeah.
That city has actually, which is unlike New York, right? New York's normally a notorious place to play in.
Yeah.
And they have shown him a hell of a lot of love. And on the team side, they seem to have shown him a hell of a lot of love. Now, if we talk about Zach Wilson, who's played in his stead, like this week, I saw glimmers of hope. I saw good ball placement. I saw good quarterback play. I saw him moving around in the pocket nicely. I saw him getting out of the pocket and passing on the run nicely. This was I think I watched something that Rich Eisen said was, this is all we wanted as Jets. All they wanted as Jets fans. They wanted to see an improvement. Yeah. Is he improving? Is he moving in the right direction? I say he is moving in the right direction. And not only that, the wide receivers are bought into him. I have not seen that. And you see Cobb, Lazard, Garrett Wilson, they're all talking to him, even though like when he fumbled the ball, he actually said to himself, you can see what he says, I lost just that game.
Yeah.
He's never taken it that, it never seemed like he had taken it that personally up to this point.
I think Aaron Rodgers has had like a huge effect in that he's had someone he can look up to, and he's seen someone work the QB position, upgrade his craft, and he kind of understands a little bit more of what exactly it involves, not just on the field, but also off it. That being said, I think the team kind of understands, and I think even Salah, like they've all been ripped from the outside in that they've shown support for him, but it's not going to get better if you're borderline bullying him, making him feel as though he's not wanted there, because then he'll completely mentally tap out. And especially with the QB, it's very much a confidence position. Like, what's going on in your head can really dictate everything. And if it's all negative, what's going to be on the field is going to be all negative. So they have no choice but to try and, give positive feedback, emphasize that, you're getting better. Don't worry about it. What they want from him now is just what you said, Dilly. They need him to not be a hero. If he can just not turn over the ball, make the plays when he has to, and just keep ahead of the downs. That's all they're asking him to do.
So when you consider the amount of pressure, when I'm talking about, not pressure as in pressure to perform, but literal pressure that he was having to face in that game, because Steve Spagnuolo was dialing it up against him. That was what caused that fumble on the snap. The snap was a little bit to the side, and that can cause that, because he's constantly, he's looking to, and he took his eye off it, and that, like, it's an error that happens. But he was the better quarterback on the night. And Peter, if I ask you this question, would you have expected us to have gone into last week and said, Zach Wilson will outperform Patrick Mahomes and lose?
Absolutely no way. That's the expectation. Obviously, what Zach Wilson did is what's normally expected of Patrick Mahomes. Now, in saying that, remember, I told you when Robert Saleh said that we rally around Zach Wilson, this is his team, and he's gonna be ready to go. And I think in that game against the Chiefs, in which the Chiefs won by some bogus refereeing that we all observed.
I think
otherwise they just had a huge chance of costing the upset.
Correct. Yeah,
So,
I agree with that.
So in that aspect, and this goes to actually a very important point I'm about to make here. Young quarterbacks that are in the league as a rookie, year 2, year 3. Every NFL coaching staff, to make sure that young quarterbacks are being successful, is to ensure that they have a very good veteran quarterback to show them the way. Because I think we've all been enamored by rookie quarterbacks coming in having outstanding seasons.
Yep.
Yes, that's true.
And then they fall off very quickly, yeah.
Exactly. But a key fundamental part to their development is having that veteran quarterback. That veteran quarterback don't have to be a Hall of Fame bound like Aaron Rodgers. They have to be a starter. It has to be someone that, someone that's playing the league, someone that shows them how to prepare and things like that. So I was checking the rookie quarterbacks I was drafted this year. CJ Stroud has Case Keenum as his backup quarterback.
Yep.
And you have Gardner Minshew. These guys have been in the league a while before these rookies come in, so they can show them the ropes, show them how things are done, and get them to be successful. So I think Zach Wilson has learned a lot from Aaron Rodgers, like you said, and I think Robert Saleh is putting the faith in him. So Zach, keep on playing well. Replicate the same performance that you had against the Chiefs, and they just should be okay. And even if Aaron Rodgers comes back at some point this season, and comes and plays, you know that this team is your team going forward.
So now I want to touch a little bit on the Rodney Harrison talk, because what he said on that broadcast as a former player was wholly unacceptable.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
It's 100% unacceptable.
I'm going to use a British turn of phrase. You're a plonker, Rodney.
Yep. Unexpected from him as well.
And I really liked what Marco Parsons said. Who are we? So we talk about players' performance. We can say he didn't perform well or he didn't perform well, but we can't say that person is garbage. The person is garbage.
Yeah, because considers you got to separate the human being aspect from the football player aspect. You can critique the person as a football player, but when you start using words like the person, it's almost like
it's more of like you're saying he is garbage, so that's making it seem a little bit personal. And what I would say to that is, what he said was, it doesn't matter whether or who a player plays for. The whole point of the whole brotherhood of players is you're trying to build people up. You want to be the best, right? You want to. If everybody's performing to the top level of ability, how good does that make the league look, right?
It makes the league look amazing. I mean, and I also have to give huge credit to Chris Jones because
He
Rodney
was
was trying to
extremely
bait
good.
him
Yeah.
to say something bad about Zach Wilson, and he wouldn't because Chris Jones showed extreme professionalism. We are grown men. We can't play a game. My team won. Fair play to Zach Wilson. He played very well as well. So you don't have to. And I think even Rodney is going by historical performances of Zach Wilson, not that particular game. Because if he was talking about that particular game,
Oh, he wasn't
Zach
talking about that
Wilson
game,
did
but
not.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Why didn't he talk about that particular game? Because in that particular game that your coverage team covered,
Do you know what I'm
he
going to
actually
blame?
played well.
Do you know what I'm going to blame? He's a former Patriot and he can't let anything nice to be like any talk about the Jets be nice. I think
Bro,
that's
you
what it
retire.
is.
The rivalry
That's
don't go on
that's
when
how
you
you know it's
retire.
been ingrained. That's how
I
you know
think
it's
that's
been
how I know it's been
ingrained into
ingrained.
him. If you any expatriates journalists are gonna have extreme bias when it
Now,
comes to the Jets.
well, here's
That's
an
without doubt.
so one other thing on the New York Jets with regards to next week and onwards, Breece Hall is no longer going to be on a rep count, so he is a full go. That's only going to be good for him. It's going to be good for the team, but it's quite useful that they have a two back system because Dalvin is a very good back anyway. So
Yeah.
when you have two guys of that caliber in the backfield, and then you bring on Michael Carter for the third down scenario sometimes, depending on the distance, down in distance, then I think that's a great way of keeping everybody rolling. Well, the positives for the New York Jets, even though they lost that game, a team that isn't positive at the moment is the Cincinnati Bengals. It looks bad for this team right now. Peter and Will, what on earth is going on? Because this cannot be purely down to this calf injury. A calf injury, him being slightly less mobile on this calf, cannot mean that they are utterly abysmal.
I think their offense is sort of set up to be pushing the ball down the field constantly, and I think we've seen damn, what's his name? I'm having a mind blank. We've seen Jamar Chase in the past say that he wants the ball deep, and obviously that's dependent on Joe's ability to push off that rear leg. So I don't think necessarily it's stopping them from playing well, but I think it's taking away like a huge facet of their offense. Like they're not able to do what they usually do. The threat isn't the same. And
They
if
don't
they
have the
can,
threat to run either, massively.
yeah, so that's obviously that's going to make them two-dimensional. So defensive coordinators in the league are the best minds in the world, and if you give them time to sort of take away what you need to do, then it's just going to make the games uphill. That being said, you can't be losing to the Titans and only putting up 3 points. That is inexcusable from this offense. It's every time
putrid.
every time I see a score like this, I can tell the head coach, the OC is there being like, hey, we are going to score a touchdown or we are not going to score at all. And that's how they looked at it, because at some point it becomes more of like a internal monologue. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way we're not going to score at least 1 point. If we don't, I would rather we score no points and get out of here. I would rather we score at least one touchdown. And you can tell based on this score that it's a lot of frustration and pride on the line for this team.
Again, what I would say is, I don't think any of us would have said that Derrick Henry would have more passing touchdowns than Joe Burrow on the week.
Yeah. Insane.
that's an interesting start. I mean, I think with Cincinnati, here's the thing that always happen about when we talk about game breakdowns and teams, which is I'm looking at the stats basically, right? And Joe Mixon was averaging 4.8 yards per carry. Yes, that is different to Derrick Henry was averaging 5.5. But sometimes, as a head coach, as a coach and an offensive coordinator, you got to simplify the offense and make it a long game. If both teams are rushing the football, there's more chance that your team gets to win the game in the end because both of you are taking time off the clock. Now, at 4.8 yards per carry for Joe Mixon, I was expecting to get a bit more carries and see how that's going to transpire in their offense. And like Will said, I think the calf is still an issue because he's not able to push off his right foot as much as he can to deliver the deep ball.
But I
Which is
don't. What I'll interject is, I don't think that's the only problem. These guys have got problems and multiple. Like it seems like they've got problems. O-line still doesn't seem great.
yes, but they haven't had a great O line for the last 2 years, and it took them to the AFC
But they've spent
Championship
more.
game.
They've spent a bit. Like they seem to have spent more money on it, and defensively,
Of course,
like there's one thing that you need to do to stop the Titans.
stop Derrick Henry.
You stop Derrick Henry, you win the game. You got 122 yards. You didn't stop him.
But that's the thing. They didn't commit to stopping the run. That's why you got
Oh, well,
commit.
Tajay Spears got 40 yards as well. So they got 160 yards, 170 if you include Tannehill, 170 yards on the ground. You can't win a game against the Tennessee Titans like that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. They can't win a game like that, and I think, but here's the thing: last year the Bengals side didn't start quite strong. They started somewhere along the similar record, and they, managed to win a lot of games when we get into the middle part and the second part of the season. But it feels like their game up this coming Sunday, it's sort of like a must-win game because then, if they were to fall to 1-4, the chances of making playoffs becomes very, very unlikely. So this is sort of like
It's
it'll be
desperation.
interesting to see because I think after the post game interview, Jamal Chase was saying that he's always open, he's always effing open. And I do understand what he means by he's always open. I get that, but I think Joe and Chase they need to sit down and hash things out because I'll feel for such a blasphemy partnership to sort of like turn back. But I do understand that players do get frustrated from time to time, and it'll be an interesting game. The one thing I'll tell Cincinnati when they play Arizona this coming Sunday is that bring your lunch pail because you're gonna get hit hard.
I think that's the case. Now onto a more positive side. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and more particularly Baker Mayfield. We didn't expect him to do well over there. He's playing well. He's balling out. The team seems to be bought into him. I think there was a story that came out today that after the final cuts were made, he took the O-line to the Bahamas for golf. To build that trust, though, to build that camaraderie and trust between you and the relationship between the O-line and the quarterback is really important. And when a guy's going to fight for you that little bit extra, it helps. And Baker, I never expected him to be 3-1 at this point, and especially going into New Orleans and being in a convincing win.
Strong win.
That was like 26-9 going into New Orleans.
No, they were playing
in a
at home. They
divisional
were playing
game.
Tampa.
Was it at home? No,
Yeah,
it was
they
in
were
the
playing in
Superdome.
Tampa.
No, it was in the Superdome.
Was it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's. I mean, it's a pleasant surprise. They're 3-1. At least, let's say in the season, they seem to have a lead in the division in terms of like how the division is gonna play out. They seem to have a lead in the division. So I just feel Baker's playing well, and if we have to look at how it's gonna end the results of the season. And finally, I just feel like his shoulder is finally healed. I don't think the last year his shoulder was
Yeah.
completely right, but I think this time it's fully healed and he's getting back to his
And he's on a
best.
team which isn't bad.
Yeah,
right?
they've got pieces both sides of the ball.
He's got. Oh, we've lost Peter.
Oh,
Peter's
yeah,
camera's disappeared.
seems that way. I'm sure he'll be back though. But yeah, no, he's got good pieces both sides of the ball. You know, so that defense is really is really good, and then obviously he's able to move the ball around with the weapons he got. You know, Chris Godwin had like an awesome game. Not a lot of receptions, but he made each one
Well,
count.
he had 8 for 114 yards.
114. So each one was like a mammoth reception on its own, and it's good to see. You know, Baker Mayfield. I think the journalists have sort of used him as like a pinata for like middle of the road, average QB.
But we
No
know
highlights,
what,
no lowlights. He's
but do you
just
know,
the same guy. You
what
can't
I'm
win
going to
necessarily, but he's done really well.
So what I will say is, Baker Mayfield is an extremely competitive player, right? We saw it at the
Yeah.
college
Yeah,
level.
absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's when you know that it factor that you want people to have. He has got that within him. He's just not shown it a lot.
Yeah, no,
Okay, I'll say this.
he's fought and scrapped his whole career.
Yeah,
He doesn't have it, but he has what I would
he has
say.
that spunk. What we call spunk. Right, he has that like that grit to be able to grind through it and get try and win.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I mean. That in fact that steely determination that you need to have at that position. Because if you don't have determination, you're not gonna win.
Yeah, because I think the biggest factor that works for Baker Mayfield is that grit that you talked about, like his ability to believe in himself and have an overconfidence type of zeal about him. And I think he also found a chip in Tampa, because remember how in the offseason people are talking about Tampa not likely to win this division because Brady's not there, because the team's going to be defensively focused. And I think Baker plays better when he has a chip on his shoulder. He's that type of player. He needs to have something to be fired up about to prove something wrong. And right now, I think he is playing with a big sort of like FU to the NFL media community mainly, because they seem to have written him off, and that's like a really big chip, and he's cashing it in right now.
Yeah, he never seems to let any of that stuff bother him. He's always talking back. He's always giving comments that the media don't necessarily want to hear, but he'll talk back. Just think for a moment, if you compare Baker Mayfield's moxie with someone who has all the physical tools, who has the arm, who has the stature, Justin Fields, for example, and you can see the personality difference. You know, Baker Mayfield had a bad season, especially towards the tail end of his Cleveland career. And we're talking about the Carolina as well, but he never let any of that get to him. But you're seeing the body language from Justin Fields. His shoulders are down. He's upset. You know, you can see that.
Well, he had a better performance last week, so it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to continue that improvement performance. But what I would say is, he didn't help the situation.
Even when they were bad, you never saw Baker Mayfield with his head down.
What I would say about Baker Mayfield now is that there are a lot of veterans on this team, right? Defensive side of the ball, got Levante David. Absolute leader. On the offensive side of the ball, they've got leaders. You've got Evans, you've got Godwin. You have guys that are dependable. And you've got dependable guys. It's less of a weight on you. So I can understand why he feels a bit lighter, even though like you've still got to perform, you've still got to do well. But yeah, Baker's playing well, and Bucks could win this division. And I don't like I said, we want guys to play well, and Baker's the guy that we wanted to see the better out of him. And now he's got pieces, and now he's got a more stable situation. It's going to be interesting to see how that grows throughout the season because we're only 4 weeks in to out of 17 games. But now we are going to get on to rookie quarterback watch. This is I'm gonna take over the segment. I'm gonna hype up my boy Anthony Richardson, and there is so much to say about his performance this week. We were completely and utterly, so we being the Colts, were completely, utterly out of this game. The Rams were off into the distance. And the fact that Anthony Richardson was able to take this game and completely bring us back into it through some extremely accurate throws, some really good throws on the run. There was a little piece by Dan Orlovsky showing where he threw this pass over the center to Jeter Downs, where you look at when he's thrown this ball, Jeter Downs hasn't even shown hands at the point. And it's just a perfect throw. Only Jeter Downs is going to be able to catch it. Now, this level of accuracy is something that we didn't expect Anthony Richardson to have. And then when you look at what's going to be my play of the week, I'll talk about it a little bit later. And then there was a part of one where he passed the ball to Mo Cox on the run. So he moved out to the right, stepped up, and threw it on the run perfectly to Mo Cox, and it went for a touchdown. Him having all these tools to be able to do multiple things, and his development is further along than we expected. We came up against Puka Nacua. It was ridiculous. We'll talk about him a little bit. Well, we'll talk about him just after this segment. But Anthony Richardson is playing extremely well, and I am all in on him. All he's going to do is prevent himself from getting hurt, and we have got an absolute stud. The Indianapolis Colts. What do you boys think?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I've always looked at it as at some point it's going to click for a talented rookie QB. It's just a matter of when. We've seen it happen with CJ Stroud this week, and I think we'll talk about that later. But these types of games sort of remind you why you drafted him as high as you did. He's obviously someone that works hard off the field. He works on his craft, and it's showing. Everyone just thought he'd be a runner. But he showed that he can do a few more things a lot better than people expected, and that tells me that he's really honed in terms of his preparation. So that's really good to see.
Do you know the mad thing about the stats from this game? He completed 11 passes.
Yeah.
For 200 yards.
Explosive. 2 TDs as well, all through the air.
2 TDs,
and he's spreading the ball around as well.
Yeah, like if you look at so you got Ogletree, Ali Cox, Colin Granson as tight ends. Got Pittman, who didn't have his best game. There was one throw actually where Richardson put it in the absolute perfect place in the end zone, and it was on the right side. And there was no, if you think about the wide receiver performance, he's had a lot of passes dropped. Richardson's had a lot of passes dropped, and so completion percentages don't always tell you that. Sometimes it says, "Oh, a quarterback's been inaccurate." If the quarterback's putting it in the right place and they're putting it on the ground, there's not a lot you can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
So Richardson, all in, he's playing well. But he's not the only quarterback that's playing well at the moment. Rookie quarterback. CJ Stroud is breaking records. Well, not breaking records, but he's challenging records. In terms of efficiency, not turning the ball over. what do you guys think about how he's playing in Houston? Because he completely trounced Steelers in this game.
Yeah, I think it's a mixture of things, but I'm not gonna take away from what CJ was able to achieve. They've been waiting for a game like this, and I think people need to understand that these things take time. I think Pete brought this up earlier on in the podcast, in that we're kind of spoiled with young QBs, especially in the last half decade, that have come into the league and have sort of played like wonder kids, you know. But sometimes it's gonna take time. I think the league's moved away from uh, a rookie QB sitting behind a vet for a few years and then starting. Right now, they're expected to start straight away, and all it takes is for them to acclimate to the speed, understand the playbook. Every week they're getting those game reps and they're improving. I think we saw that from CJ this week, which was really good to see.
So what I would say, so you look at the first game, obviously the amount of prep that goes into game one is insane. They played against Baltimore, didn't have a touchdown, but had 240 yards. No interceptions. There was a fumble. I don't know whether he lost it. Then he played the Colts, rookie versus rookie. He had 384 yards and 2 touchdowns because his second half performance was really good. Jacksonville, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns, 66% completion percentage. Didn't fumble, didn't turn the ball over, had a very good performance. Didn't get sacked.
Yep.
This last week, didn't get sacked, even by TJ Watt and that crew. Over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns again, no fumbles. He's holding care of the rock. He's getting over 300 yards a game. That's all they can ask for, really, from a rookie quarterback.
And it's what they want to see. That being said, the Steelers have a problem. I've read on the Reddit, the fan base, some of
You need
them
to
are
get on
obviously
Reddit, man.
Reddit's
He
the
loves
best
this.
because
He
you
loves
get
this.
heartfelt takes from the fan base, and you sometimes get a pulse
The
on
fan base on the
what they're
teeth.
feeling. They're not the smartest in the world because they come up with weird things like Mike Tomlin's got to go, etc. He's stagnated, but everyone is calling for Matt Canada to be gone. Now they've all admitted, and I think we all know, Kenny Pickett isn't necessarily the most physically gifted. He hasn't got the greatest arm. His athleticism is not exactly where it needs to be, but it doesn't necessarily matter.
Some of the play calling is utterly atrocious.
Yep. And we're seeing it week in, week out.
Najee had a good game this time around.
Yeah, I know, right?
I can't believe it. They get blown out.
They're going to ship this guy off.
Okay, the thing is this. So, quickly, this is my statement. Steelers need to find an OC from the Kyle Shanahan type tree, whereby, you know, as good as Kenny Pickett will be, Kenny Pickett is similar to Brock Purdy in terms of arm talent. So I said something like that with Stu Pickett.
Yep.
Now, getting back to rookie quarterbacks, Bryce Young, obviously the third of the rookie quarterbacks. I don't know where I am with regards to his performance so far, because he was expected to be the savior, Panthers.
Yep.
They went into this 0-3 in another toilet bowl matchup against the Vikings. It just seems like, I think as a squad they're just not quite there.
I think the Panthers as an overall team aren't there.
Well,
you know, Bryce Young is still acclimating to the game, and he's showing improvements every week. Like,
but he's getting
25 for 32, 204 is not that bad. Of course, you'd like to see touchdowns.
Sacked 5 times, lost a fumble.
Yeah. He's an undersized QB, but he's going to get there.
It's not that bad until, you know, a defensive end sacks you and put body weight on you a little bit. So, God forbid if that ever happens. I'm not wishing down Bryce Young or anything, but I'm just saying. I think the early struggles is because I read somewhere like the Panthers, and I'm thinking of giving him a number one wide receiver, true number one, for him to grow with. Sort of like one of the rumors that's been flying about.
That has
Which
been
begs,
fine.
which begs the question: so why did you trade DJ Moore? You could have traded away Brian Burns. You could have traded any other player and kept DJ Moore for Bryce Young. So you traded your wide receiver for the opportunity to draft Bryce Young, and now you're searching for wide receiver for Bryce Young. Sometimes this is paralysis
But
by
they wouldn't have been
analysis.
able to get Bryce Young without trading up for him. So
Yeah, I
No, no, they
smell
could have
another
traded up for
Alabama
him.
wide
without
They
receiver
could have
giving him up,
traded up.
coming
without him.
They could have traded for him without giving up DJ Moore because they could have
Okay.
traded Brian Burns instead. But they
Mhm.
prioritized Brian Burns to keep and give away
Mhm.
CJ Moore, DJ Moore. Every GM has the way of working. If I was the best GM, or the counterpart of the GM, you're not getting DJ Moore because if I'm trading up to get a callback, I need that callback to throw to a reliable veteran wide receiver.
Well, the reliable
Who
veteran wide receiver has been Adam Thielen, and Thielen has had a bit of a resurgence because he is playing well. He's been the go-to guy
true.
for him.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, DJ Moore was their go-to guy. He was their number one. When you talk about number one wide
Thielen's kind
receivers,
of
DJ
he's
Moore
not
is
Thielen
yeah.
hasn't been
DJ
one for a
Moore's more
while.
like a one than a two. So you had a one that could have grown Bryce Young, but you decided to trade him away as part of a package to you decided to trade DJ Moore away and now they're looking for a number one wide receiver. I mean, Bryce Young hasn't performed the standards of CJ and
And Richardson,
Antonio
yeah.
Richardson. So at some point in the season, he's gonna have to have one of those signature games. Otherwise, he falls into the Trevor Lawrence category. Because I always say this. This is my question when I'm judging rookie quarterbacks, and it comes down to this: in your rookie season, can you give me that signature game? Now, CJ in 4 games have shown a lot of enormous potential. And he's already had 300-yard passing games and high 200 and 275 plus passing games. So as the season goes on, I need to kind of like, and I'm sure I'm gonna see that with CJ. That game that shows that you have the potential, and you're probably gonna achieve the becoming a franchise quarterback. I didn't see in Trevor Lawrence's rookie season. Yes, he has Urban Meyer, but sometimes as a rookie
those signature
quarterback,
games.
show the talent in spite of the coaching staff around you. And that's what you do. Anthony Richardson is showing it that he has that potential, and I'm sure that game is coming at some point this year, whereby it's gonna be flawless. Already he's shown moments, but that decisive game whereby every rookie quarterback, if you look at their rookie season, they have one game that they completely look very dominant, and that proves the potential of that
So,
rookie quarterback.
so we as Colts fans initially thought that game was when we played against the Texans, right? And Richardson was really good, and then got taken out because of the concussion.
Mm.
But I think the game against the Rams was that tick check. We may have lost it in overtime. That tick check was he had the ability to come back from 23 points down, from 23 points to nothing, and he brought it all the
He
way
brought
back.
the team back all the way back. Yeah,
I get that, but when I say you gotta have the whole package, right? Yes, he brought the game back.
So that was he's got that that performance under his belt. We need to see that from Bryce Young, where he's going to have that level of performance under his belt, because at the moment we haven't seen.
Yeah, I get that, but 11 of 25 is not inspiring me. I need to see at least
But that's
15 of
because there
25.
were drop balls. There were some balls where he put it in the perfect place, and the guy didn't even get hands on it for
Okay,
a touchdown.
I mean, we'll see. I'm sure I'm gonna see it again. So let's see at some point this season, and I'm sure he's gonna deliver.
All right. Now we'll move on to a little quick one. The Cooper Cup is back, and Puka Nakua has been breaking records left, right, and center. What do we think is going to happen to Puka Nakua now that Cooper Cup is back? His target share is going to go down, but he's a go-to guy. he can be trusted.
This
Yeah,
is the
okay.
1-2 punch you need. You know, both can kind of benefit from this. But I think Puka a little bit more because they're still going to double Coop. And like I said, Puka sort of
He
being the main
destroyed,
guy
like,
can
he
destroy
just
any number 3 corner, any number 2 corner.
you
Maybe not every number 2 corner, but the majority.
in this game against us, he had 9 catches for 163 yards and a game-winning touchdown. He's on
Huge.
course to break every record under the sun. Can you imagine?
That's insane.
Suspend our reality for. But can you imagine? He breaks a single season receiving yards record in his rookie year. Can you imagine what that would be like?
Man,
He ain't doing that.
I know he's not doing it, but can you just
what if it would just be insane for the Rams?
in 4 games
Literally.
he has 500 yards.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. So he stepped up tremendously, and it's because of where he plays as a wide receiver. He's playing the slot and he's dominating because there's not enough slot cornerbacks that can match up with him. They basically found another Cooper Cup to play Cooper Cup whilst Cooper Cup was on IR. Now Cooper Cup is coming. The interesting thing is McVay. Excuse my language. Is McVay gonna run 2 slot receivers, or who's gonna play the slot? Because we know Cooper has best dibs in the slot.
Cooper can play anywhere.
Cooper can play outside as well.
He's
But he
capable
can
of
do
moving.
more damage from the slot.
Let's see, because so far you say he can play anywhere. He hasn't played outside a lot. He's played primarily in the slot in the first 4 games.
But they move him.
Most of his
I was saying Cooper, not Puka. Cooper, they move him around on that. You know,
but primarily listen, Cooper Cup basically has taken. You know what Elderman used to do for the Patriots as a slot? Cooper Cup took it to the next level. Yeah, basically. But then when he goes on the outside, he doesn't go on the outside all the time. See, see, when it comes to receiving in the NFL, right? When you listen to a lot of the veteran wide receivers, right? Like for example, Jerry, Randy, Terrell Owens, they were on the outside, which is much more difficult than when you play the slot.
So even somebody like Adams, right? He doesn't always play on the outside anymore. They move him around to get the matchup that they want. Everybody gets moved around now. Like that's what I'm buying into what you're saying. They move your top dog around just to mess around with the defense.
They move them around, but if you look at the primarily place that Cooper tends to line up, it's on the inside more than the outside. And in the NFL, but hold up, let me finish. The top wide receivers, because it's harder to play on the outside because the cornerbacks on the outside, they have the outside boundary, which they can use the advantage when they defend the wide receivers on the outside. So playing outside is more difficult than playing on the inside. That's what I'm saying. And the interesting thing is, will Cooper Cup coming back restrict Puka Nakoa's numbers, or they will both get numbers? That's the question that is yet to be answered. But I've been very impressed by Puka Nakoa, but it's just that will his numbers go down with Cooper Cup coming back?
They are going to go down, but it's whether, like, at the moment, he is averaging over 100 yards a game. He's averaging 125. So
Puka, for a lot of people, like, if you just look at his body type, he's actually a bigger Cooper Cup, and I think he has potential to play outside. I think ultimately that's where they want him. But a good way of developing a young receiver is to start him inside, where he's going to be having to face. How can I not necessarily easier, but it's going to be easier for him to get open against nickel corners, etc. But I actually think they're going to have him outside.
Most teams don't have nickel. In the inside, you're going up against linebackers and safeties that can cover very well.
Right. Yeah, how tall do you think?
I think ultimately they want him outside. I think because I'm just looking at like his pro day, especially he's a lot bigger than I thought.
Puka's 6'1".
Yeah.
Cooper Cup is 6'2".
Really?
What relates? Okay, so an inch off. So
They're about the same size.
yeah,
They're about the same
literally.
size and weight.
Literally. Oh, okay. Weight wise. I mean, could this guy basically just be Cooper Cup?
Can you imagine having
And you've
two
got
weapons?
two of them on the same team.
He's basically Cooper Cup.
He's basically Cooper Cup.
But Cooper Cup is extremely dangerous. So having
It's
two of them
extremely-
on one team is
It's kind of
that's quite a
insane.
prospect.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but it's good. It's good. I mean, the Rams, a lot of people are saying they're baked. You know, they're there, but they're always just going to be a team that has basically burnt out. But this is really good to see that they're still building some pieces.
But do you know what's going to be a potential problem?
Yeah.
Did you? At the end of that game, Matthew Stafford was basically on one leg.
Mm.
He'll be alright.
hit him. We hit him, and we hit him hard. It's whether that cumulatively over the season, whether that builds up. That's the only worry I have for that team.
Mm.
I mean, he's playing right now. And when I look at what do you call it, Matthew Stafford, I think the Rams, right? Earlier this season, I thought there could be a team that they might, try an option into the tanking mode, but it seems like they're trying to still win games. And I think one of the difficult things in LA and why it's hard for you to tank in LA is because when your team start losing, you're not getting any revenue because they'll stop coming. And so the pressure is like you got to keep winning, you got to maintain multiple 10-win seasons in LA. You can't really do a tank job in LA because it's a city whereby they want winners and they'll only come see the games if you're winning. And they will come in the numbers because rich, famous, there's a lot of money in LA. So they'll come as long as the team is winning. I think that's the difficult thing the Rams are faced with. Because my question with the Rams is not even about this season, it's because Stafford is 35. I don't see Stafford playing into his 40s.
No.
Within the next year or two, he's probably going to retire.
He's done what
So the question becomes, who replaces Stafford when he's gone?
The team's too good to be Stetson Bennett, yeah.
Let's see how that. Anyway, before we get onto our baller and player of the week, there's something I want to. So at the moment, nobody is shouting at the rooftops saying, "I am the MVP." 4 weeks into the season, I don't think anybody's clear.
C-Mac.
He's the closest.
I wouldn't say he's clear, but he's definitely leading.
For me, anyway, C-Mac is a favorite because the reason why is because
no quarterbacks been good. No quarterbacks firstly been good.
Like all the quarterbacks have been when you talk about it, Tua, Josh Allen, they've been comparative. They've had up and downs because Josh Allen had this down in that first game and he's rebounded in the following 3 games.
Mahomes hasn't been that great, to be honest.
Like Tua has been good the first couple of games and just had a bad game against the Bills recently. So that brings his stock down a little bit. C-Mac has been sensational all 4 games of the 49ers. Yeah. He scored touchdowns in 30 consecutive games dating back from last year. If the rate that the 49ers are playing, he's probably going to have the record for most consecutive touchdowns scored in the amount of games scored in a single season. Like, imagine if he scores a touchdown every single game this season. That's easily going to become an NFL record at some point. And I'll see how, unless he gets unless an injury occurs or something.
All right.
But the way he's playing, I'll say he's the early favorite for me right now. So maybe not by a huge margin, but
so at the moment, do you think the odds favorite is right now?
Josh Allen, because there seems to be a lot of callbacks.
Josh Allen's not even in the top 11 in terms of odds because he hasn't played. He had one good game. He's had one good game.
I mean, so who's in the lead?
At the moment, the lead
is
Tua
in there as well. Yeah,
Tua, and somebody who I don't think should be in there, Mahomes, and that's purely because of it. That odds. I'm talking about the odds, right? CMC is as far back as picked.
Projecting the rest of the season, so that's hoping
because
he continues to play well.
Yeah, but Mahomes has had tendencies to get better as the season
so if you look on CBS, current MVP Josh Allen, Tua, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, then CMC all the way down in 7th. That's 6th, which is insane.
Okay, so you see with CMC, right? At the moment, he's leading the league in rushing, right? So that has to be continued. He has to keep performing, scoring his touchdowns, having impressive
then
rushing numbers.
he gets split between rushing and
Yeah,
receiving.
between
So
rushing and receiving. So I mean, like I said earlier, if CMC can replicate 1,000 again, he's probably going to win the MVP because the team will have they'll have a winning record probably if they get the number 1 seed in the NFC. That's a shoehorn way for him to win the MVP. And I'm pulling for him because for the last 10 years, he's been a quarterback. It's time for another position to win it. Come on now.
So if Tua doesn't keep doing a madness like he did like in the previous weeks, minus this last week, if Tua continues to do that, the award might be his. As long as that if that doesn't happen,
CMC.
could it be a defensive player? Could Michael win it?
I mean, if he continues to play,
he's going to have to get the
like 2
record
sacks
for sacks
per game, the record,
No,
maybe 1 sack short.
No. For Micah to win MVP, like I said, I mean, like Belichick said before they played the Patriots, right? When he said he has athleticism comparative to with LT. Micah will have to do LT in this modern times. What I mean is that you completely take over games whereby offensive tackles and OCs are literally scared of you. You're gonna have to impose your word. I mean, JJ Watt had a great season, which was arguably
True.
the MVP of the league. They gave it to a quarterback, but
it's just
what
in
I'm
the
saying
year
is
that no quarterback is kind of shouting at the rooftop saying, "I'm the guy." Because at the moment, Tua was getting close to getting that, but at the moment, with a down week last week, it might not happen anyway. Baller of the week consensus. It's only one guy. Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
This guy had a ridiculous performance. Peter, you're a resident defensive lineman. Just break it down this destructive
so.
performance.
Khalil Mack once again. Pass rush has gone and in this game was against the Raiders, and he's never given the Raiders for trading my way to Chicago Bears at the time. And at the time, Khalil Mack was actually one of the most important pieces the Raiders had at the time. He loved being a Raider, and they traded him against his will. So this was a time for him to kind of revenge game. And what better time to come and have the performance of your career? 6 sacks, get in the quarterback, hot in the quarterback, beautiful power moves, beautiful finesse moves. He unleashed the tools on the Raiders. I mean, they couldn't block him. He was unstoppable. So, like for instance, when you talk about if this performance extrapolate over the rest of the season, let's say Khalil Mack ends up with 23 plus sacks, breaking the sack record or equaling it, he has a great case for like MVP of the league.
Do you know how many sacks he has in the season though?
6.
Yeah, he had them all in one game.
He had them all in one game. That's what I'm saying.
Can he brought him pretty back?
Can he take this performance as a launch pad for the rest of the season? Because you can have 6 games this week, and if you don't become consistent over the course of the season, it can quickly get forgotten about. So he needs to build upon that and keep on having a great game. And when we talk about Micah Parsons, great talent, phenomenal football player, but Micah needs these type of games because that game that they played with the Raiders, it was decided by Khalil Mack's 6 sacks. And it was just the 6 sacks. He was constantly in the backfield, so the Raiders couldn't do nothing.
Aidan O'Connell, who was in for that game, is going to have nightmares.
Absolutely. But then I'm curious to see if Jimmy G is not injured. Why was Jimmy G benched?
He was injured. He was under concussion protocol.
I mean,
and what
the Raiders is one of the teams Caleb Williams said he wants to play for. So
they're 1-3.
They all the teams he listed except for Dallas, I believe, and maybe the 49ers have all put their ears up. The Vikings must be
49ers don't need. They've got Purdy.
They don't need him. But what I'm saying is Vikings, Giants, and Raiders out of the teams he picked. The Vikings especially. I mean,
look, listen, Caleb can say all he wants, but if the Bears or Broncos draft you, you're gonna have to go because
He won't
yes,
sign.
okay, then you see, listen, yeah, they're saying
Become a
NFL
free
teams.
agent.
They're saying NFL teams that could hold you to that. You do understand in the NFL when a team drafts you, they hold your rights
They
for
hold
the
your right.
next 5 years of that contract that you haven't signed. So
Yeah.
to even if you were to come back to the NFL, you have to go to that team. You can't go sign with any other team.
Yeah. So NIL has kind of made things a little bit easier because he will go back and he has said if the Bears have the first overall pick and are thinking of drafting me, he's just gonna go back to USC and
Well,
make
go back, go.
a nice bit of
Hey,
money.
go back. Listen, and I've got a lesson for Caleb Williams here. Okay, this is a historical lesson. Matt
Matt
Barkley,
Barkley.
before he went back for his senior year, he was tipped to be a top 10 pick, right? Even if he
Hey,
was tipped to be a top 5 pick, if he
my
had
Eagles
declared
nearly
his
drafted him.
junior year,
Yeah,
if he had gone to draft in his junior year with all his flaws, he would have been a high pick and made more money. Went back to
he would have
school,
been the
had
first
a
quarterback.
terrible senior year, and ended up being a fourth round pick by the Eagles.
Yeah,
Lost
that
so
was
many millions. You get
literally
what I'm
nuts.
saying? So Caleb Williams is realized when it's your time to go, go. Because when you go back, you never know what will happen. It's a huge
Most
risk.
certainly the
The
case.
Bears
All
now have
right.
1 and 2, so
Play of the week, Peter. You have one, and it's by a guy that we've already mentioned on the pod. And
Yeah, unfortunately, it was against my team, CMC. I think it was the second touchdown of the game. Running play, got the ball, full sprint, header pass, headed
was it
over
a running play or
Keyshawn
was it a
Clark.
catch?
I think it was a catch. And then he just held it over our rookie cornerback, Keyshawn Clark, and went to the touchdown. Keyshawn, sorry, but it was a welcome to NFL moment by CMC, one of the most gifted, athletic, one of the best running backs in the league. So it happens to people. You're a rookie. You can take it. It's all right, but it was an
So
exceptional play. I was like, whoo!
I'm going to provide a little bit of context about this one. So I was sat downstairs watching Red Zone, which is a very rare occurrence because I normally have to watch it up here in this area. So I was watching it on the big TV, and my old man was sat next to me, and we were sat watching it, and he doesn't even like the NFL, right? Doesn't like the sport. We were sat there, and he sat there for an hour or so, and he saw this play from CMC, and he was like, the words that came out of his mouth were, "That was beautiful." Like that was just like the grace of him, like having that, like just that athleticism, because he appreciates his athleticism. Doesn't matter what the sport is, but he doesn't he from the start. For him, the stop-start nature of the sport is not for him. But he said that play in particular, that was just utter brilliance because, like you see when you see somebody doing something at the top of their game, and because he likes rugby, my old man likes rugby, so you see like that athleticism in rugby, and this was just perfect. My player of the week, I'm going with the home pick, and it's not because I've been all in on Anthony Richardson, but this throw from Anthony Richardson, when you have Aaron Donald around you, physically, literally on you, and you are able to throw a 40-yard dime off balance without stepping into the throw to your wide receiver, and he's able to catch the ball. That's something special. Especially when you've got the monster that is Aaron Donald literally on you.
Yeah, that's actually a very good play. One of the best plays of week 4, certainly.
So there we have our week 4 breakdown. Week 5 preview now we have, and we'll preview like 3 of the main marquee matchups. So, first of all, the London game. And we got a good one. We have got a good game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium this weekend. The Jags staying here for the second week in a row. The London Jags, as we like to call them. They face the Buffalo Bills. Now, they are the away team this time round, but this is a great matchup.
Yep. Yeah, both teams coming off a win. Both teams are strong wins as well. You know, the Jags obviously put 23 points over the Falcons.
They made the Falcons look ordinary.
Exactly. So
At Wembley.
I think both teams are going to be playing top flight football. Whether I mean, it'll be interesting to see because I mean, it just depends on the day. I think the Buffalo Bills on paper should win this game, but you can never tell. You know, with Jackson, I think they're 2-2 right now. You know, so this is a very important game. They don't want to sort of fall on the back end of that record right now. So they're going to play hard. You know, this is like almost a must-win game for them to sort of keep their season afloat.
I think so. I think when it comes to the Jags, they can't fall games behind, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really important this week because Indy play Tennessee. So there's a divisional game for Indianapolis, and if Indianapolis win, that record improves, and if they slip to 2-3, or even if Tennessee are currently 2-2 as well, so it's the division of being 2-2 at the moment. All teams are 2-2, so they have to win this game. Especially with a team is going to go 3-2 in that division. Houston are playing Atlanta. They can beat them. Houston's defense is good. Jacksonville needs to really have their A game. And at the moment, Bills are favourites, as we expect them to be. But what I want to see from Josh Allen, I just want, from the other side of the ball, I want Josh Allen to show that he's the alpha because he's going up against a very good quarterback in this game. Peter, do you have any takes on this one?
What game are we remind me again? What game
Jacksonville
is
and Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Interesting game. It'd be good to see if Buffalo can keep on with the consistency after rolling over the Dolphins. It's gonna be I think it's gonna be a closer game than most people think. And I think the key to the game is Jacksonville, the London Jaguars, has to play extremely hard against the Bills. You know, you're gonna have to, the effort have to be at an all-time high. And I think they're capable of doing that. Maybe it could be a case of Jaguars will rise up against big teams this year. Because, you know, there are certain teams that when they're playing a top-rated team, that's when they play their best performance. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. Also, another key to the game that I'm looking forward to seeing is the Bills suffered an injury to Tre'Davious White, who's their number one cornerback. So their cornerback room has taken a hit. So can the Jaguars exploit that? Can Calvin Ridley and
he's been a little bit quiet
Trevor
after
Lawrence,
a good start. So after that Colts game,
could they take advantage of that and, you know, maybe through an upset here, because it certainly helps your division. If they were if
they manage to beat the
if
Bills.
the Bills win, if the Jaguars win, it keeps the division very competitive.
Correct. All right. Now let's move on. I think this is the game of the week. This has to be the game of the week. Cowboys, 49ers.
Oof.
Where they playing?
This game is going to be at San Francisco, Levi.
Doesn't matter. 49ers going to beat them.
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
I mean,
49ers going to beat them.
I can see the 49ers winning, but...
Do you know why I think this could be the case? We saw the 49ers have a dominant victory last week, and Debo didn't even have a target. They didn't even need to use him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mean, last week the 49ers did what the keys to victory was basically running the offense with CMC, either rushing or receiving, because he had a defense's number. That was the key for the 49ers. And I think this game, the 49ers will be a bit more balanced. I can see CMC rushing the football, getting some yardage, and then Debo and Ayuk are also destined to cook because of the Diggs the injury, it puts the Cowboys defense on a bit of in a tough situation.
So what? After 4 games, the Dallas rush defense is about middle of the park, right? The 16th in yards per game. The San Francisco 49ers rush defense is 3rd best in the league. They're going to force Dak to win this game with his arm. Now, San Francisco are middle of the park when it comes to being against the pass, so that's where it's going to be won. Really, I would say it's obviously in those trenches. Can San Francisco's line be dominant against Dallas's defensive line, and can Dallas manage to keep their running game going? Because if they can't, I just don't see them beating the 49ers. I think the 49ers are a little bit more dynamic on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it comes down to Dak Prescott and seeing what type of game he has. He needs to have a really good game for them to sort of be able to hang. Because I think, like you said, Dilly, they've got to be able to run the ball. But the 49ers aren't really going to make those mistakes. I don't think they'll turn over the ball unless it's a forced turnover. So you basically got to play sound football across all 3 phases, special teams as well. You know, you can't be having you can't be making bonehead plays, really bad timeouts or bad calls. Like McCarthy always has one every big game. So this is one of those games where
I'm going to ask a question now.
Happen.
We have seen. So if you look at the schedule that the Cowboys have had so far, we've had the Giants, who have been hapless.
Yep.
We've had the Jets without Aaron Rodgers in their first game without Aaron Rodgers. They lost to the Cardinals, who didn't even have their number 1 quarterback. And then they played the Patriots, who are hapless. They haven't. The Cardinals were the first team to give them a tough game, and they lost. 49ers are going to give them a tough game. Do we expect them to just be able to do anything?
I mean, I think obviously the Cowboys will do something, but I think at this point, if you're Mike McCarthy, you're thinking, what's the best way to lose, basically, effectively? Like, okay, I know we have a huge chance of losing this game, but are we gonna lose in style? That's the only thing that is left as of the Dallas Cowboys, because I don't see how if they do manage to be the 49ers, I give them huge credit, but I don't give them any chance. So, hey, are you gonna lose in style or are you gonna lose in pitiful? Basically, that's what it comes down to for the Cowboys.
Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, the 49ers are going to win this one. I don't think there's much.
Yeah, Dan Quinn's not thinking that, personally. I think Dan Quinn's going to be...
He's going to have to dial up some stuff.
Using this. If he has a marquee game, like, I guarantee you Dan Quinn's going to be a head coach next year. If he has a big game against the 49ers with that defense.
And also another thing is that I think I don't know why the Patriots didn't do that, because the Cardinals showed how to get out of the Cowboys a little bit in terms of defensively. Run at Micah Parsons until Micah Parsons. This is my advice to every offensive coordinator out play the Cowboys. Until Micah Parsons can prove that he can stop the run, you don't run to his direction. Run the ball at him. Double team. Run the ball at Micah Parsons. He needs to start developing. He needs to start becoming a run stopper, like a defensive end or edge. Exactly. Like, you can't run at TJ or you can't run at Nick Bosa because he ain't gonna work.
That's an interesting one actually, but also Patriots bench Mac Jones in that game, so that's how bad it got.
True.
So you can't have the quarterback play be that bad. Rams Eagles. I think this is a really fun matchup because Eagles still aren't performing. I don't think they're playing well at the moment. They're winning games, but they're not playing well.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, no, we're not at our best, but what I like to see is every week we're improving, we're winning the games that are in front of us, and I'm not gonna complain. You know,
Mhm.
at the end of the day, your record's gonna dictate where your team goes this season. So we are pulling out the victories, but they're not necessarily like really confident ones. You know, we're always starting slow.
Is this the acid test so far? Another team that's actually good, like a real like they're good on the offensive side of the ball, and they have a monster
Yeah. Even when
on the defensive
we're
side.
even when we're low, I always know my team's going to pull away because we're designed like that. You know, we have like a really good roster that can play a full four quarters of football. So I'm never truly panicking. But in games like this is where like, you know, if you fall behind by a touchdown or two and it's late in the fourth, you might not get back. You know, so this is going to be like a really good sort of litmus test. If we can have a really big game from DeAndre Swift running the ball, and all we need is one of our receivers to go over 100, then I can see us winning this game.
So at the moment, Philadelphia
Push.
is 27th against the pass defensively.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man.
Mm-hmm.
We needed a free safety. I am telling you.
27th against the pass, second against the run.
Your secondary is getting cooked, bro.
We need a free safety. That's the only missing piece, man. Like, we're gonna draft someone or we're gonna get someone.
No. Do you need a safety? Or do you need a free safety? Who's your strong safety?
Free safety. Strong is Terrell Edmonds, I believe.
He ain't even that good. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so here's the thing. You need a general back there. Now, like I told you, Will, if you got 2 first-round picks, we got a nice one for you from Arizona. It costs 2 first-round picks. That's it.
I'm not giving you 2 for Buddha, man.
Well,
We'll
then
probably
you
give
don't
you the
want.
one. We'll probably give
Okay,
you our one because we're
you don't
expecting
want a
to get a
Super
high
Bowl
pick, but
then.
we'll give you
Fine.
that. We'll give you
You
that.
don't want a Super Bowl. If you want a Super Bowl, give me a first and give me something else. I'm not trading Buddha for just a first. You're gonna have to give us something else.
We'll probably send someone your way. Maybe maybe Bradbury.
No, we don't want Bradbury.
James
You know who we
Bradbury.
want? Okay, so since you love Jalen Carter so much, give us the other guy that drafted last year.
They're not going to
Oh,
get
you
rid of
mean
Jordan Davis.
Ringo? You mean Ringo?
Jordan Davis.
You have Jordan Davis? No, we're not giving. No, Jordan Davis is yeah, him and Jalen Carter are
the future
on the interior.
I mean,
of our
you got
defensive
Fletcher
line.
Cox, you got all of
Yeah,
these great
Fletcher's
guys
about
in
to
the
leave.
defensive line.
I think this is his last season with us.
But all right,
He's not going to retire, but it'll be his last season.
if you look at the key to this game for me is are Cooper Cup and Puka Nakua going to have their way?
Well, it depends. It depends on like pass protection.
Yeah, the pass protection has been pretty good for the Rams this year.
Yeah, it has been, but I believe the Eagles, your defensive line is a bit more talented. So for this game, I don't know who your DC is, but it's kind of like, can he get your boys to hunt? As in, like, whoop them 1-on-1, and even if you're gonna rush for 4, can the 4 that you send cause enough disruption not to let the pass work? Because your secondary is not that great at the moment, so you need your pass rush to have one hell of a game, like be hellacious, getting after the Eagles, basically.
Yeah, our DC is not like it's a guy called Sean Desai. So he was on the bed.
We're also not showing a lot of confidence in
He's
that
not
guy,
that
but
good.
I think, Will, what would you say is the key to this game?
You guys missing JG yet?
Yeah, no, we are. Running the football. We have to run the football. If we can
I
get,
actually agree with that. Yeah.
if we can get any of our backs over 100 yards, with Jalen Hurts getting around 20 to 30, and a receiver getting in the 90s, then it's a wrap. We're going to win the game.
Do you know what the Rams are averaging defensively against the pass in this so far? 184 yards after 4 games. The 7th best in the top 7 in the league. They're good against the pass.
So your best bet is to run the football, like Will said. So run the football.
So they're middle of the pack against the run. They've got to run well. If they don't run well and they're getting into passing situations, that's where it's going to fall into especially, I think, particularly with a healthy Aaron Donald, that's made a big difference. Because he's healthy this year, makes a big difference when it comes to the defensive side.
Funny thing is, true. Funny thing is, like, Kel's one of the few centers that can handle Aaron Donald, though. Because he has a lot of savvy, and I trust Jason Kelce to take care of that.
But the thing is, they moved on their own. They don't let him just go against one guy.
See, that's well, I'm a defensive guy, so I love that. But in a way, offensively, I feel like you're cheating us because you're trying to find a weak link to attack, like the JJ Watt move.
Well, you've got to exploit it when you can, but there are times where one guy isn't just enough, and that is what Aaron Donald is all about. He is ridiculous. He is a monster,
Absolutely.
But he still couldn't bring down Anthony Richardson.
Our DC's not going to be there much longer if he doesn't sort out this secondary. We're not going to win a championship with this guy.
Hey,
Bears DC.
Keep your hands off Rallis, okay?
They sent him out of there.
All right, there we have it. A little week 3 preview. Week 5 preview. On some of the marquee matchups. We will be back again next week after watching the games. I am going to the London game, so I will be there to see Josh Allen in person. So it's going to be a good one, and we'll catch everybody on the flip side. So it's goodbye from myself, goodbye from Will and Peter.
Yep.
And we'll catch everybody on the flip side. So peace
Over
out,
and
boys.
Out. Peace out.